now to our Friday feature Movie Spotlight, where our film critics give us their recommendations on what to watch over the weekend among the latest releases here in Korea. Let's bring in our critics now. First, we have with us Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello. It's great to see you.
Yeah, hello.
And we also have with us Darcy Paquet. Darcy, hello to you too.
Hi, good to be here.
Okay, so our first film this week is a low-budget Korean film that premiered at the Jeonju International Film Festival 2 years ago now. It's called Lost, or Paran in Korean, and it's a debut feature by director Kang Dong-in. Darcy, this is your pick this week. It's a drama/mystery film, I understand. It's centered around a young man, a national competitor in clay pigeon shooting. But the film really isn't about that, right? Can you tell us more about what the story is about?
Yeah, so the main character, Tae-hwa, he is really talented in shooting. But, as the film opens, he's in really bad shape. He's contracted pulmonary fibrosis. And so his lungs are thickening and, it's quite a dangerous situation for him. And he's only saved by receiving a lung transplant from his father. And his father dies in the operation. And then, he realizes that just before the transplant took place, his father had been involved in a hit-and-run accident, and that a man had been killed. He had abandoned the body and fled the scene. And, Tae-hwa is just all a mix of different, feelings of guilt. And, he's really upset at his father. And a whole combination of things combined to kind of push him out to find the daughter of this man who was killed. He feels like he owes her something at least. But when he finds her, the situation turns out to be much different from what he expected.
Right, so it's quite a setup actually. It's described both as an independent movie and a mystery. How would you describe the mood of the film? Is it a sort of conventional genre film, or is it more Indian style?
I mean, it's not too Indian style. I think that I'm not sure it necessarily wants to be an indie film. I think maybe the budget kind of necessitates it. Although, on the other hand, it's a film that where the main characters are suffering from a lot of guilt. I mean, guilt is the primary emotion in this film, and what everybody is dealing with in this film. But sometimes movies about these kind of inner traumas, they're hard to really portray in the outer world. And so, there are parts of the film that feel a bit slow moving, or where the characters aren't really expressing so much in their faces because everything's buried so deep inside them. And so in that sense, it feels a bit like an indie film. Indie films kind of often deal with these, hidden emotions. And, but then, things kind of start to pick up as you go through the film, and as the two main characters meet and they start to kind of spend more time together and get to know each other, then the pace of the film picks up as well. And so there is, a fair amount of suspense in the film, and it does keep your attention, I think, through to the end.
Okay, and what did you make of it? Does it work?
I mean, mostly it works. I think I was a little bit frustrated with it in the first half because, the main character, he doesn't express very much at all. And, you understand what he's going through, but you don't really feel his emotions at the same time. And I think it is really the plot, rather than kind of like these buried emotions and themes of the film that ultimately pulls you in. And so I don't regret having watched it. I don't think it'll kind of rank up among the great films of 2025. But yeah, it kind of pulled it out at the end for me.
Okay, interesting. And I feel like because there's so much about trauma in this film, that the two main roles, there'll be a lot resting on their shoulders, and they're played by Lee Soo-hyuk and the young actress Ha Young-kyung. How were they in the film?
I mean, it's interesting because they're very different kinds of actors, like their style. And Lee Soo-hyuk has, again, a face that doesn't naturally express a lot. I mean, they're actors whose face kind of expresses a lot almost without them even trying anything. And then other actors where, there's kind of a colder impression at first, and then, in extreme situations, the emotion comes out. And, Lee Soo-hyuk is that kind of a character. And then, Ha Eun-kyung, I think she is a really talented up-and-coming actress, and she was in Concerning My Daughter last year, and she got nominated as Best New Actress in a number of different awards ceremonies, and so yeah, it is a clash of acting styles, I guess, but both of them, they are in the end interesting characters, and the ECX character in particular as a clay pigeon shooter. It's kind of an interesting image, and it's a sport where you have to kind of control your breathing, and so there's a lot of breathing kind of metaphors in this film in terms of holding your breath, and then his transplanted lung, and then the guilt that he associates with this lung that's in his body, and but yeah, and so he's quite a striking image. And then with Ha Eun-kyung, it's the emotions that you see on her face.
Jason, did you manage to catch this one this week?
No, sadly not. Owing to some issues with my car. But but that's been sorted. But unfortunately, I was unable to see the film. But I'm really, really curious to see it. I mean, it was in Jeonju, I think, a couple of years ago. So.
Is that usual for these films to be released 2 years after its festival premiere? It does seem like quite a long time.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. And actually, I was like scrolling through the pictures because, as Darcy knows, sometimes we're like, "What's this film?" And then we're watching it like an independent film. It's like 10 minutes into, yes, I saw this in Jeonju maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, no, I hadn't seen it, I haven't seen it. But yeah, it's I'm a big fan as well of Ha Eun-kyung, this upcoming actress. So I'm quite keen to see, what some of the titles that she's been in. She's clearly very talented. She was amazing in Concerning My Daughter. And yeah, the synopsis sounds intriguing. So definitely want to get out and see it when I can. It's just a shame I wasn't able to see it in Jeonju.
Right.
But I will be in Jeonju this year. So just mentioning that, so hopefully I can watch a number of films and then maybe talk about them on the show maybe 2 years later.
Exactly, yes. We will keep you to that. So yes, it does sound like a film that perhaps won't move mountains, but noteworthy in its own way. Once again, it's called Lost, or Paran in Korean. It's out now in cinemas here in Korea. And next film is a Hollywood spy thriller starring Rami Malek. It's called The Amateur, or simply Amateurs in Korean. Jason, this is one you've seen because this is your recommendation this week. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so this, I'm always in the mood to watch a espionage thriller, kind of like Darcy, I think. And, we've got Mission Impossible coming up in May, the latest film, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, this film, The Amateur, is based on the 1981 novel of the same name by Robert Little, and that was also actually adapted into a Canadian film, also released in 1981, featuring Christopher Plummer. Now, the story centers around a CIA analyst played by Malek. Now, at the beginning of the film, he's taken to the director's office, and he's told that his wife is killed in a terrorist attack in London. And he's clearly extremely bright, and he identifies who the perpetrators are. But his bosses are basically saying no, to taking it further. But he's determined to track them down. So he essentially blackmails them because his bosses are involved in some black ops that their superiors don't know about. So he's able to get training because he's not equipped with the skills to be able to take on these terrorists, and he's trained by a seasoned operative played by Laurence Fishburne, and so he soon gets into better shape, although still very nervous and struggles to fire a weapon, and he hunts down those responsible for his wife's death. It also features Holt McCallany, among many others, and it's directed by British filmmaker James Hawes, who actually directed 3 episodes of the Snowpiercer TV series, and it's written by Ken Nolan, or co-written by him, who was responsible for Black Hawk Down, and Gary Spinelli, who wrote American Made, and you can see some of that in this film too.
Okay, so it sounds like an improbable set up. That
just a tad.
A movie you'd watch on a Friday night though, with a
Yeah.
box of popcorn. Was that about right, or what do you
Yeah,
make of
no,
it?
it's certainly entertaining, and it's kind of a mix of Jason Bourne and Taken. You know, you bring those two together, and you kind of have the Amateur. You know, it doesn't do anything new. I didn't expect it to. We watched Black Bag. We covered that recently. You know, that I think was a more intelligent film. This on the other hand, you know, just kind of plays by the rules, so to speak. But you know, it's decent performances. It's well staged, and yeah, I thought it was pretty riveting actually. Yeah, so and the geopolitical backdrop was also quite interesting because obviously. The original novel was based in the 1990s, you know, during the Cold War. So we are in a very different situation right now. And yeah, and it was interesting to see how, you know, there's certain. Well, it does kind of delve into some of the divisions within, you know, the CIA, kind of Jason Bourne style.
Okay.
But you don't. I mean, it's interesting to, you know, in the 1980s, obviously you have the Americans and then you have the Soviets. Right. But here you kind of have the Russians they're not working with the Americans, but you don't you don't see that kind of conflict there that you would have done, you know, in the 1980s. Sure. And also this film was released in 2025 and the Trump administration, I can't keep up with it. But so this was obviously produced before that. But yeah, and it was interesting backdrop. Or to be fair though, it doesn't really delve into that in any meaningful way. Okay, so a decent film, but do you think it'll live long in the memory? Not really, but I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think it will. But I think it's one of those films that you'll quite happily, you know, turn on, like say on a Friday night. And the thing is, it doesn't really have to. It's budgeted at $60 million, and I think it's going to do, you know, somewhere in the region between 12 and 14 in the United States. And so, I mean, unlike a film like Mickey 17, and I like that film very much, but it just had a huge budget. Whereas this has a much more modest budget, and actually I think, you know, people will go and check it out because, you know, if you make a decent film with strong production values, with you know, strong performances, people will go and see it, even though it doesn't, you know, break any new rules or anything like that. But yeah, I think it was quite decent. Darcy, what about you? Did you manage to catch this one?
This has been the week when neither of us are able to catch each other's films.
Okay.
Just because of scheduling issues, but I mean, I'm really excited about this film. I'm planning to watch it.
Yeah, I could see Darcy wanting to see this movie. We both love thrillers.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm really intrigued about Rami Malek as well because, you know, I mean, spy thrillers, there's a certain kind of image that we associate with the main character in those. And obviously this is a different kind of main character because he doesn't start as a Jason Bourne type of figure, and he, you know, kind of gradually picks it up. And so he's necessarily kind of more of an everyman kind of image. But yeah, I think Rami Malek is just one of the most interesting young actors working in Hollywood today, and he's able to kind of take on all these different kinds of roles. And so I'm happy to see him in this kind of film.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to mess with this guy. You know, he's not the kind of Liam Neeson taken kind of action hero, but on the other hand, he's this intellectual who can sit back and just put together these, you know, booby traps that are really quite frightening. Okay. And and so that's where, you know, the horror, you know, kicks in. And so that was quite interesting to watch. That does sound like fun indeed. Okay, so once again, that's called La Amateur, and it's out now in cinemas here in Korea and around the world as well, I believe. It got a simultaneous US release, right? Yeah, so it's unusual I mean, we do get the tentpoles at the same time, but this is not a tentpole film. Sure. So normally we'd wait like a year to watch this film, or it just goes straight onto stream platforms. But yeah, we get to see it in theaters same time as those in the United States. Okay, and with that, we're going to wrap up our movie spotlight segment there. Jason, Darcy, as ever, thank you for your reviews, and we'll catch up with you again next time. Take care. Yeah, take care.
Bye-bye.